Hey everybody, welcome back. In this episode, we've decided that because it's the end of our first year RVing, that we would come clean and admit what we all admit as RVers, if we're being honest. We made mistakes.
We did.
And we made some pretty big mistakes. Fortunately, none of them were cataclysmic, but they could have been.
Right.
One wrong move and we were in calamity, but we didn't quite get there. So we're going to go over our top 5 mistakes of the year. And hopefully you can use this as a cautionary tale when you start off too. So we're going to list them from 5 to 1, with 5 being, or number 1 being like, how do we avoid calamity on that one? So we'll start with number 5.
Okay, so number 5 is not looking up. So this was, it was our first time bringing the rig home so that we could prepare it, and I was at the back of the rig giving directions on coming back, and I'm paying attention to the garage as the RV is coming back, but what I failed to do was look up because we have an overhang where the gutters are. So as he's backing up, I'm looking and thinking, okay, I still have another 3 feet or so before, he would hit the garage. Well, boom.
It wasn't quite boom boom because I didn't even know that I'd hit it. And in defense of Charlotte, there's like a half a second delay because we're on cell phones.
Right.
So there's just an ever so slight delay when you're backing up and she says stop. That was actually about a half a second ago. And that was just enough of a difference to nudge up against the gutter. No damage, not
just
really to
slight
the slight damage.
Yes.
Not a big deal.
Nobody would
could have
ever
been a
do
lot
this.
worse. You got out of that one alive. Number 4, we were at Gunter Hill Campground, it's a COE park in Montgomery, Alabama, and beautiful, beautiful park, all concrete sites, and just really beautifully done. And the temptation when you first back in there and you don't see ants of any type is to think, I'm safe. I don't have to worry about deploying the ant.
We use 7.
We use this stuff called 7. It's like this powder that you shake out of a can and you put it around your tires and your jacks. Like the only places that the ants can gain access to your thing. So, we'd been religiously putting it down for all the campgrounds that we'd been on or been in to that point.
Because they were more wooded campgrounds.
Yeah, and this one was on a lake. I mean, there's woods there, but it just looked pristine.
Yes.
They had just swept the pad, and I didn't see any ants around, so I thought, let's just see how things go. Well, we saw things wet. It was horrible. The next morning we got up and I went outside and I'm looking at the corner of the rig in the back and I'm watching this army of ants climbing up the side of the rig, and then I go to the other corner and there's reinforcements. And I thought, oh my gosh, what did we do?
Not to mention they were inside.
They were inside the rig. I think everybody has this story, but with a slightly different twist. Right. So, of course, we deployed the 7, but at that point, it was too late. They had a stronghold on the beach front, and that was it. So we were only there for I think 4 days.
Right,
we
never didn't leave.
We didn't. I mean, this was on day 2 that I discovered it. So
right.
For the next 2 days, we were constantly seeing ants here and there inside. But word to the wise. If you're in a wooded area, put down the ant, whatever.
The 7 or whatever
you're using, you're spraying, whatever. Because I guarantee you that ants are going to get to you. I think that was the only time that we didn't put down the 7.
And that was the only time
we
ever
had any
problems.
So, don't neglect your insect stuff. Number 3, I'll let you talk about that one. Go ahead.
Okay.
Because you were driving behind me. You could see this.
So before we had left our campsite, I forget which campsite we were at.
Honeysuckle. We were at Honeysuckle Meadows,
heading to another campground. We were in Tennessee, and I asked him if he had locked up all the compartments, and he said, "Nah, we're fine." Right?
Yeah, because we were only going from Honeysuckle Meadows, which is in, I guess it's in Sevierville. They counted in Sevierville. You're really out in this other little village.
Townsend.
And we were driving to Anchor Down, which is in Danforth, Tennessee, which is only about, 40 minutes or so, not very far at all. So, Anyway, so and she's following me. I'm not towing at this point.
Time.
Right.
So I'm looking, and I thought, I think there's a compartment door that's open. And sure enough, I come up alongside of them, and sure enough, there's a compartment door open. You can see all of our stuff on the inside. And
I think you texted me and you said, there's a compartment door open. But we were on this little country road. We were almost there. I mean, I only had like another mile or two to go.
Right.
And there was just no place to pull over.
Off,
so
yeah.
I think you called me. I didn't text me. And I said, look, there's nothing we can do about it. If nothing's falling out at this point, it's probably not going to fall out because I'm just not going very fast. So we left it kind of swinging open. So we pulled into anchor down.
It didn't actually swing. So because they come down.
They come down. It was just kind of, whatever. So anyway, we got to anchor down, and I pulled in. The nice lady came out to register us and everything, and she asked how things were going, and I said, well, it's going great, except for the fact that we drove here and there's a compartment door open the entire way. So another, lesson of RVing: make sure your doors are closed and probably locked. That happened because I just didn't lock it. And to be honest, it was a door that was kind of faulty anyway. It's never really closed all that well like the other ones do. But also, fortunately, I packed it so tightly that nothing was going to fall out anyway. So we got away with that one.
Right.
So again,
we used
calamity
milk crates
averted.
in there.
Yeah, we had milk crates in there. So that was number 3.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2. Oh man, talk about right out of the gate disaster.
This was our
very first camping trip. We had gone to. We live in Claremont, Florida. We had gone to Hillsborough. It was a Hillsborough River.
Hillsborough River State Park,
which is out towards Tampa in Thonotosassa, Florida.
Yes.
If I got that right. That's a mouthful. So we are as green as they come in terms of rookiehood. And so we drive out there, and we have a wonderful first night, and then Charlotte gets a phone call telling us very sadly that her stepmother had passed away overnight. Well, of course, end of trip. We got to get out of there. We got to drive all the way back home. It's probably about 2 hours or so, and then I got to get her on a plane to fly up to New Hampshire. So we were really scurrying to tear everything down and get it all packed away. And again, this is our very first time tearing down a campsite after putting it together. So we thought we had everything done, and we're just getting ready to pull out. And I shove it into drive, and all of a sudden, all these lights are flashing and dings are dinging. It's like, Houston, we have a problem. And I didn't know what it was, but I at least knew enough not to try and pull forward. So I didn't. And then it occurred to me.
Well, the neighbor actually said something.
We had a friendly neighbor in the site next to us who was
said something to me.
Waving his arms and it's like, whoa,
the
whoa.
leveling jacks are down.
So I left my leveling jacks down. And if I had gone forward, that would have been
not really, because kudos to Jayco.
Yes.
So we have a Jayco Class C, and one of the things they do, they have a fail-safe, is if you forget the leveling jacks, then all the bells and whistles will go off.
I think actually what happens is if you release the brake, the emergency brake, the jacks will automatically come up because they're assuming it. All right, if you release the brake, he's going to go forward, and before he can do that, we're going to save him. And that's what saved me. They went up anyway. Talk about a boneheaded green, rookie mistake. That was one of them. I can make the excuse that we were under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure there, but
always look.
Crisis averted.
Right.
And number one. Oh man. This is Crooked River State Park in Georgia at St. Mary's. They didn't have full hookups. They didn't have sewer, so you had to dump your black tank as you were leaving the park. And we were leaving there to drive all the way up to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, to our next site. So it was going to be like a 10-hour, 11-hour drive. It was a long ways. So we packed everything up, and we tried to leave early enough so that when we got to Tennessee, there was at least some semblance of daylight, or not very dark, and we were going to be boondocking at a Cracker Barrel that night. So we were kind of in a hurry, and I forgot to empty the black tank. So we left the state park, and we had only gotten a couple of 100 yards down the road, and I think you were the one that
Yeah, I
remembered.
remembered. I
Oh, we
said,
didn't
"We need the
empty the
black
black
tank."
tank. And the black tank was full because we'd been there for like 5 or 6 days.
Right.
And I knew I don't want to drive, 6 gazillion miles with a full tank. So I thought, oh, I have to turn around. Well, if you're familiar with Crooked River, it's kind of rural out there, and I'm towing the tow dolly with the car, and there's no easy place to turn around. So
because we can't, when we have the tow dolly, because we're not 4 down, we're 2 down.
Yeah, we can't back up.
We can't back up.
So I had to find a place that was big enough to make a turn. And that was probably at least 5 or 6 miles down the road before we found a gas station that we probably couldn't have gotten gas there because of our length. But there was just enough of a gap that I could sort of run the gap and make a turn. So we had to turn all the way around, go all the way back to the state park, and come in as if we're new.
Right.
And then kind of make a really sharp turn into the dump area and dump the tanks. And then that whole ordeal probably set us back at least an hour, if not longer. Again, these are things you probably benefit if you had a checklist, which we have, but we don't always use. And this was one case where we didn't use it. So there you go. Lesson learned. So we'll never forget the black tank again, which is the good thing about almost all these things. Once you make a mistake like that, you're probably not going to make the mistake again.
Right.
If it was especially egregious, and most of ours were pretty stupidly egregious. So there you go. The
year
top,
1.
Yeah, year 1. Top 5 boneheaded moves of 2020, which kind of goes along with 2020 anyway.
That's right.
So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from that. I hope you don't do what we do. Do what we tell you, not what we do, and you'll be great. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on the next one.